Hello there guys, welcome back to Easy Tutorials by Dave, and in this video we're going to cover the basic functions in Excel 2010. Now the basic functions are the sum function, which will give you the total of the figures you're adding up, the average function, the count numbers, which will give you the total number of how many you've got. You've got the maximum, which is the biggest, and the minimum, which is the smallest. Now, before we can get going, I just need you to look at this sheet. I'll just zoom in a little bit in here, and then we can go. There you go. Now, this sheet, when you look at this sheet, if you can imagine, it's the weekly home accounts. So we've got the income coming into the house. We've got the expenses down here that's going to be leaving the house. We will have the profit here. So what we've got to do here, we've got to imagine that we're pretending it's a two-person family, two adults with two children. So we'll say in the local area, wage one, the biggest earner, will be £350 a week. The second income, we'll say, is £250 a week. The allowance for two children, we'll pretend, is £50. And then we would need to total these up. Now, the easiest way to total these up is to use what we call the Autosum. Now, the Autosum is on your Home tab over here in the editing section. Now, you look in the editing section here, okay, and you see this little fella here. And this is called the Autosum. And when you click on the little arrow there and click it, notice the little menu drops down. Now we're looking for the sum because we want to total this up. Now when you click on it, notice it'll put the formula in, or the function, but the formula reads equals sum, the word, open bracket, and then B4 colon to B6 close bracket. Now this B4 to B6 is the range that it's adding up. And the range, when you look from there, which is B4 down to B6. So that's what the range is adding up. Now when we click OK, look, there you go. It gives you the 650 where they've added up. And then we come over here to the E column, so E4. Now the rent, we'll say it's £105 a week. The shop is a big shop, so we're going to say £150 a week. Travel, they have to use the travel, so we'll say £75 a week. The council tax, we'll say £35 a week. Water rates, we'll say £7.50, so £7.50. Don't forget the point, because if you don't put the point, it would be 750. So we need the point in there. TV, we'll say £12.50. Again, don't forget the point, else it'll be £125. The gas, we will say 20. The electric, we'll say 25. And the phone, we'll say 30. And then again, we need to add these up with the Autosum. Now, if we go up here again to the editing section and we look at that, we don't need to click this little arrow unless we want either the average, the count, the minimum, or the maximum. If we just want the sum, we can just click on the button and it'll automatically put it in for us. And when you look at this sum, it's no different to the other one, except the range changes, because we're adding these figures up. Notice the range, so it's saying equals sum, open bracket, E4, which is this first one, down to E12, which is this one here. So we accept that one, and that is added up in there, and that's how you add them up in there, and that is the sum function. Now down here we're going to get the balance. Now to get the balance of any account, you take away your expenses away from your income. So in here I need a little basic formula that would say equals. Now if I say equals this cell, B7, if you watch, it brings 615 because I'm saying equals this cell here. But then if I finish it off properly and say, well, I'm bringing the 650 in, but I want to minus, and I want to minus this cell, the 460. So in other words, I'm taking this away from that. Now, this cell is in E13, so I'm taking E13 away from B7. Now when I click on that, notice 190, and that is the balance you've got left. That's how you do a basic formula. Up here we've got the stats, so this is your statistics. Okay, now what we're going to do here, we're going to click on here. Now I want the total of my expenses because we're only doing the expenses. So the range for the expenses is that, not the total. The total is not included. Your expenses are only here, look, there, between the rent and the phone. So that's from E4 down to E12. That's the range that we'll be looking at. Now in here, to get the total, you have to sum. So if I come up here, look, and I click on the word sum, notice it puts equals sum, but no figures because there's no numbers above it. So we have to tell it what to look at and what to sum up. So we highlight this range here, look, E4 to E12, which is from rent down to the phone, which is down there. Get my eyes straight there. And there you go. Now when we enter that, notice it gives us the 460 because we know that's the sum. Now we want to know the average bill that we've got, the average expense. So what we do here, we place the cell point where we want the result. We come up to the editing section and we have to click on this little arrow now to get the menu, and we click on average. Now when we click on average, notice it tries to do that above it, but no, we're not worried. It's the expenses we want. So we highlight again from E4, which is here, down to E12, which is there. And when we click on that, there you go, look, £51. We'll tidy these figures up in the next video with the basic formatting, so don't worry about that right now. Now, how many? So what we do here, we click on here. Now to get how many expenses you've got, you drop this down and you have to count numbers. Now when you click on the count numbers, notice again it's trying to add up above. Ignore that, just tell it you want to add the expenses, which is E4 to E12. Now when you click on that, you've got 9 expenses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I never. Then you click in here. Now we need to know the biggest. We want the most expensive bill or expense. So what we do here, we come here, look, and we say max. Now the function name is max, but it stands for maximum. And again, you have to tell it where to look. So we want the maximum of our expenses. So we highlight that range down there, E4 to E12. And when we click on there, look, it's 150. Well, we knew that, but that's what it's doing. Then we come to the minimum. So we place our cell pointer on there. And then we go up to the editing section. We click on here and we say minimum. And then tell it where to look. We want the minimum of our expenses, so it must look at the expensive range. And then there you go, look. When we click the little pointer, 7.5, which is the water rates, that's your smallest expense. And that's how you do your basic functions and formulas. This is the basic formula, equals that minus that in Excel. I hope you found this of interest and I hope it's helpful to you guys. If you like it, give us a like. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you. Bye.